the big thing that we got to work on when we're doing this is that you guys all show up on time. I don't. We have a bet going that I'm going to be the first person to delay this podcast from happening.
Guaranteed, guys.
So
Guaranteed.
I think I'm looking at, what is it, Joshua? 50. I need to do 50 push-ups and pay everybody $10.
Push it, record it, and we're putting it on social media.
And go without Diet Coke for a whole
No
I
day.
Diet
actually
Coke per day and 10 push-ups. I mean, $10 per person.
I actually have vertigo right now, and I showed up to the office just so I wouldn't break the deal on day one. So feeling
He
pretty
was
strong.
this close on day one. Oh my god.
Nice.
Anyway, well, welcome. This is our first ACG Atrium Capital Group podcast, just a weekly update. We wanted to get together with some of the people in our team, just kind of talk about what's happening in the world. We're together so often, so thought we'd share with other people what's going on in our world as you kind of prepare for what's happening in the market. You can kind of hear what we go through on a daily basis. So I'm with Joshua Adlam and Emma Morey, two members of the team. So we've got a lot of great stuff going on. Again, just want to share some stuff. So want to start out each week with just something fun in real estate. We were looking at deals all day long, and a lot of it gets kind of boring. But one of my things that's near and dear to my heart is Indian Creek in Miami, and I saw Jeff Bezos, one of the richest men on the planet, purchased his first home there on the island. There's 36 lots, not that many houses. For those of you who dream out there about doing something great, like, this has been my ultimate place to live one day, and just see him do it's pretty sweet.
Absolutely insane.
I mean, you were also mentioning Julio Iglesias. How many parcels does Julio own there?
Julio's got 4. So he was serenading the ladies for so many years, made enough money. He's got 4 actual lots there, so it's pretty ridiculous.
That's insane. I got to go talk to my boy Julio.
It reminds me of the different levels of wealth. I mean, to own a house, $50-60 million on this island, like, think about it. Your neighbors are all the top 1% people in their industry. That is so sick. Adam, we have to make it a goal for us to be neighbors on this island. That would be so cool.
Dude, it's going to happen. I truly believe it. But it is an amazing experience. When I've gotten to go a couple times and just play golf, and I love golf. And when you get there, it's got its own police boat that circles the island. It's security to get on. When you come across, you feel like ninjas are going to jump out and attack you. But it's just such a cool place. It's obviously Miami. The weather's beautiful. But for anybody, like I said, I'm a dreamer, and I would love to be your neighbor on that island one day. So,
oh my goodness, make it happen.
All right, let's talk about what's going on in the development world, any projects that are going on. And with this being our first episode, we're just going to selfishly talk about one of our own developments. But the goal would be each week to kind of talk about things we're seeing in the market, highlight some other great developers. There's so many good people in Central Florida and Florida as a whole, putting projects together. Em and I had the chance to go down to Miami a couple weeks ago, meet with one of the all-time great developers, see what they're doing. So, Emma, why don't you just give us a little bit of update on what's going on with the milk stacks right now? Where are we at in the process?
Yeah, so our project, as you all know, is a boutique multifamily project here in the heart of the Milk District in Central Florida. So it's a very unique project. The Milk District's known for being this very artistic district in Central Florida. So our project kind of meet the standards for the district. It's a mixed use, 27 units with 2 live work. Right now, we've ramped construction. We've 100% completed most of the site work. And getting ready to go vertical here pretty soon. So it's kind of exciting to see it come alive. And as you know, Adam, this project has been kind of a passion project for you for, quite some time. So getting it to see it going up and going through fruition is kind of exciting. It's never, without challenges. So, the state of, the construction market and capital markets and the financing market has been a little challenging. But knock on wood, we got this one just in the nick of time. Yeah. So excited to see it come alive.
I think that people too, like, you said, just getting it done, getting it through the process. I mean, right now, as we move into each month, deals are getting harder and harder. The banks aren't calling and asking you, when's your next project? You're calling and asking them, are you doing projects? So the fact that this one got out of the ground at a good, we got really good debt on this project. And so I'm really excited. I'm glad we got it going. Now there's so many hurdles that are already happening or that we're having to overcome, which is exciting. We had the hurricane.
That's just part,
yeah.
That's part of the development fund for anybody wanting to get into the development world. It's just every day is an opportunity with a different challenge. But it's exciting when you finally get through all of those and see the project come alive.
Yeah, I feel like every day we walk in, just ask. I used to wake up and think, "I'm gonna have a great day." Now I wake up and say, "I'm gonna have a great day," and then I just know there's a million problems that are gonna come right at me, but you just gotta keep smiling through them. But it'll all be worth it when it's built. You drive around the corner, you come down Bumby, and you'll see it, sitting there. It'll all be worth all the pain.
Absolutely. And I'm excited that this is, for us, I see it as a catalyst project in the Milk District too. There's just so much more that we can do and there's so much more that we can bring to this community. So I'm really excited for what we're going to do here.
Love it.
Adam, how cool is it to know that you're one of the few developers to like have a building actually start construction during this time? I mean, this is absolutely insane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that people have a lot of. I mean, there's a lot of projects that are still finishing up. There's just not that many new ones that are, getting going. I mean, if you look in downtown Orlando right now, we have one project actively being built in the core. And we just went on a massive run where there were a ton of different projects going. So, I mean, I think going forward, every project's going to have its own challenges and be tough to get financing for, or to get the right construction costs, for. As we kind of go through, we'll tell you as we're getting ready to start another project right now. We're in the hunt for debt at this moment. So we'll kind of tell you what we go through on that one as well. We're seeing where we're coming out on costs. That one's a little bit different. It's an industrial project, so it'll be fun to kind of see how we move forward on that project. But right now, I mean, I was in banking for 10 years and was there through the crash. It was miserable. But we just found a way. And I was actually talking to my wife last night. I was like, no matter what you go through, like, you just always got to find a way. And, we've been together. We're coming up this month on 11 years. And I was just laughing. I was like, through all those times and those cycles, like, just grind it out. So this is one of those times when we just got to grind it. All of us got to grind it out together. Just keep moving. So
This is when we see who really wants it.
And another point there too is, when you have a good team, a good development team, you have, good architects, good engineers, you have a good relationship with your contractors, even in the most challenging of times, you can make a project work. Those relationships are key also in these challenging times.
Yep. All right, now we're gonna do something fun, like talk about something that's kind of going on in the market and how that, what recently I saw the headline at U.S. credit card debt has reached over $1 trillion, and so this affects us in the development world. This affects us in the rental world when we're renting apartments. As more and more people have less savings and more debt, it gets tougher for them to afford, where they live. So this will have some impacts. But I was at a CoStar event with the State of the Market, and I'm going to share just a so let me see if I can pull it up here real quick. But I was at this CoStar event, and they showed this graph, and um, just to kind of see historically since 2006, the relationship of consumer credit, which is in red for those of you who are watching, and then personal savings rate in blue. You kind of look back to 2020, and the government started pumping tons of capital into the economy, and
Oh my
savings
God.
rates went way up. Credit card, consumer credit revolving, went down substantially. Now, if you look at it today, and over the past couple of years, year and a half, that graph now looks like, to me, it looks like number munchers, or it's gotten so wide where you can see the credit card debt skyrocketing and the personal savings rate decreasing pretty substantially. How is that affecting you in any way? Are you seeing or hearing any of this, like, anecdotally from any of your friends or family, or when you're working?
Man, this is insane to me. Like, I'm so appalled by the statistic. This has me thinking about, my immediate family members and making sure that they're saving their money and not racking up debt. You know what I mean? This is like a 15-year high? Oh my goodness. Where we're as an economy, this is insane. This is absolutely crazy. I am seeing it a little bit as far as when we're looking at residents who are moving to some of our buildings. Just on that side, they do report a little bit more debt than usual, which is a little concerning. But just understanding where we're at as a state of an economy, it's kind of just crazy to think 2 years ago everybody had so much money saved, and then now it just plummeted. You know what I mean? That is crazy.
What I was thinking about today is when we were at the bank and you're underwriting somebody's loan, you're looking at all their consumer debt. When we're doing apartments, we're really pretty much looking at, do they make three times the monthly income as far as their income, as to in comparison to the rent. And so it's not really a statistic that's taken into consideration when you're renting an apartment. How bad is the revolving debt? What we do look at is have you paid all your bills on time and all of those things. But I do think over the long haul, I just saw another article in the Wall Street Journal where credit card companies are getting ready to raise their rates and their fees again. I mean, the rates are obviously rising with what's happening in the market, but they're getting ready to raise their fees as well. So I just think people are gonna, in this time right now with inflation through the roof, people are gonna struggle, and it will affect apartment rents. We're already kind of seeing that right now with one of the best markets in Central Florida. The fastest pace they were growing at was 0%. So you can see that rents are starting to pull back right now, which is not happened in quite some time. So it'd be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, and on my end, going back to that graph you were showing Adam about, the savings and credit, on my end, a lot of the younger peers that I talk to are just, they seem to be in this mindset of depression that they can't afford anything and everything's so expensive that they just rather go and spend all their money traveling. And I think for the most part, most people are putting that on a credit card and saving very little money because it's just it's a power thing. What can I do now to enjoy my life? I can't afford anything. Everything's extremely expensive. So let me just go travel around the world and spend all my money there.
No, I felt like just watching Facebook this year, everyone I know was in Europe. Like, I mean, it's like nobody had gone, and then all of a sudden it was like, if you didn't take a trip to Italy this year, you were missing out.
You didn't live life. Exactly.
That is true.
I get curious about how is everybody affording all these nice trips? I'm like, dang, I'm working hard. Like, I'm sacrificing. Everybody's out here balling, traveling across Europe and enjoying these luxury vacations. They're racking up debt.
I think it's hard too for Joshua, you're in your 20s, and so you see your friends out there, who are going to all these different places, and it's not cheap. Every time you kind of wake up and go somewhere, you're looking at like, on your own. It's hard for me to remember because I got two kids now, so I think about traveling in fours. But I remember I could go have like a fun weekend somewhere with my friends or go travel, and you maybe spent like $1,000. I feel like just to step foot in an airplane, get in a hotel, you're looking at $3,000 to $5,000, to go do anything, which is depressing in itself.
Yeah, gotta have some tough conversations with the family about, hey, no vacations this year until things go back down.
Yeah, and I also think from COVID, everybody wasn't traveling, so you have all that pent up demand where people are like, okay, I got to go somewhere now. I was actually looking at some of the hotel statistics here as well, and the actual travel in Florida is down because during the pandemic, everybody could come here. That was like get in your car, you go to Florida, you go to a Florida beach. Now you can go anywhere, and so now people are going to Europe. People are going. I'm hearing people going to whole. Obviously everything going in Hawaii, that's a tough situation. But prior to that, I heard a lot of people that were going to Hawaii. Just getting in an airplane and going a good distance has actually hurt the Florida travel industry. What's kind of nice is that corporate bookings are up right now. So, all of your pent up conferences that didn't happen are now happening at a higher rate. So that end of hotel travel and is up. But the actual individual traveler in the state of Florida right now is down because people have more options again. So it'd be interesting to see how it all plays out. One other cool thing, just overall market statistic that we were talking about, just home prices right now too. And I saw another graph recently on the CoStar report where home values since 2020 in the state of Florida have gone up 57%. Insane. So, I mean, it would be a great thing if you could actually sell your house and move into another house. Um, but right now, with rates the way they are, you're almost stuck because it's a negative financial move to even make your 57% return, but to try to put it into a new house with a 7% rate, isn't as attractive as staying put.
Yeah, man. I remember trying to buy just a duplex a few years ago and being sad because everything was so high priced when the debt was cheap, and then now having bought one, realizing like, man, if I just wait and just let time do its thing, I'll be able to get a significant return. But you're right, rates are way higher, and it's just made buying homes so much more difficult. I see less and less stuff on the market, and I talk to my peers, and they're looking to eventually get into the real estate game and buy their first deal, whether it be a home or a small multi-unit. And these interest rates are scaring a lot of people. You know what I mean? But 57%, increase over 3 years, I think that's a promising thing. It makes me want to continue to look for deals in Florida.
I also think you can scare yourself a little bit. Like if you are a first time home buyer, let's say you weren't able to take advantage of the 57% increase, but now you're just trying to buy a house. The inventory's low. You can say rates are high, but I think what people forget about, like the chairman of my old bank used to tell me this. He's like, real estate's a pretty simple math equation, right? Like you have this much in revenue, you have this much in expenses, and you're left with this much at the end. And if that's positive, you usually got yourself a good deal. The one deal where that equation goes straight out the window is your personal home. And so what I try to tell people, I have friends right now that are buying a house and they're like, oh, the rate's 7%. I just had somebody lock in at 6.99% yesterday. And they're like, is that so too high? And I'm like, well, historically, it's not that crazy. It's right in line. But more importantly, when you're buying a house, like, can you afford the payment? Like, what is that payment? And are you putting yourself at jeopardy based on the payment? Right now, in that case, that person was buying a $600,000 house. The payment ended up being $4,000, but to rent a 2 bedroom 900 square foot apartment is 3,200. So to get a full house, you're talking about 4,000, and you're building equity in the long term. You're gonna get, if you're buying in the right markets, you're gonna get the appreciation that you need. So again, it just goes back to I think when you're talking about homes, like just look at the payment. Can you afford that payment? Are you, you know, were you saving so that you could have a couple months of payments in reserve if something were to happen with your job? Those are the kind of questions you need to be asking on that front, and not get so bogged down with trying to gauge the economy, because we don't, we saw the report today, just came out a few minutes ago, like actually core inflation actually ticked back up. While it was small, um, you know, that wasn't, I mean, it was expected over the past few days, but we've been hoping that it's going to keep going down. We've got, some distance. We got to cut it in half from where it is right now. So, that's a little bit of a setback. Does that mean that, the Fed raises rates again? You can't really be playing a guessing game, with your life. You just have to make good decisions that are right for yourself personally. So I just always hope people understand that with a house, it's not an invest. I mean, it's an investment. You can call it that. But I've never looked at my house as a way to make money. Look, can I afford this payment? Are we in good shape? But from an investor standpoint, like Josh was buying rentals right now, like it's tougher, more difficult.
I mean, and to your point, as long as you know you can afford the payment, you can always step up from there, right? So when my husband and I got started with buying our first property, it wasn't our dream property, but we know we could afford it. And if everything went, to the dump, we know we could stay there and we can live there long term. But we know, in the future, as our equity goes up, we can flip that house at a later date. And then with that, go on and buy another property and buy another property. So it's sometimes about a little bit of the timing and playing the game a little bit, especially for like first time buyers, whether you're just buying for an investment or for your home. But you can play the game and you can build up to it. But to your point, is making sure that you have a good financing or interest rate and that you can make that payment.
Yeah, Adam, you bring up a good point too. What I see amongst guys and girls my age is more people are looking from the lens of buying an investment property versus buying a home to live in. I feel like the verbiage 10 years ago was, oh, I want to buy my dream home, buy a nice home to live in once I graduate school. Now I hear more people saying, I graduated, I got my first job, I want to buy my first investment property, and so I feel like there's a lot more people looking at it through that lens. Obviously, you still have your people who don't care anything about real estate investing, and God bless them. I still love them. It makes it easier for me. The less competitors that there are, it makes it easier for me to buy these small rentals. But I'm noticing a shift in perspective amongst younger investors. More people are saying, "Hey, I actually should try to buy a 2 or 3 or 4 unit as my first purchase rather than a single family home." Because the mortgage is way higher, I can't rent it out. I'm spending more money for less. You know what I mean? It's just a little bit more education out there, I would say, these days.
Yeah, and I think you're really what I used to think is, and I wish people knew this more. When you buy a single family house, you're getting 30-year money at a 30-year fixed rate. You can't get that on most commercial deals. There's not very many options out there for fully fixed rate financing. And so, if while you may not make you need it to live, so you might as well have that. But you can always then move out, find a new place, and rent that one out, and you know what your payment's going to be for the rest of the mortgage, as long as you don't do anything stupid. So it's like it isn't actually buying your first home is a good investment, for you to live, and then in a few years, if you want to move up, as Emma said, you just rent it out, using any great management company that locally, and they can be treated as an investment. So
I know a couple.
yeah. Anything else going on in the world right now? Like anything cool, interesting that you guys are seeing? I always feel like we get, like, if you look at it every day, you get bad news in the market every day. Like literally, as we're just talking, the inflation rate shoots through the roof, or not shoots through, but goes back up versus continuing to come back down. So you have these little bumps in the road. I just feel like every day I wake up, I tell myself, you're gonna get bad news. Just navigate through it and keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, just locally here in Florida, I'm just thinking about the hurricane damage. And I'm in Tampa. We had a lot of flooding in downtown and Bayshore. And so our office building has actually been closed for, this whole week. But really just dealing and seeing the aftermath of some of these properties. That's the one thing that most people don't think about as far as investing in real estate is, you have situations like natural disasters that come and kind of affect things. So really for me this week, just seeing the aftermath of these hurricanes, that kind of came through Florida, and seeing what that entails for real estate and rates going forward.
Yeah, it makes me wonder about the insurance rates. Like every time I see like we've had such a terrible time in Florida with insurance, and I'm like, every time I see a hurricane, I'm like, oh my goodness, here we go. It's going up even more. So I do feel like, obviously in Central Florida, obviously the Panhandle, was hit. But it was one of the least populated areas of Florida where it made landfall. So there's a bright spot in that. I mean, obviously, pray for all the families that were there, or anybody that's affected. You saw the pictures of the flooding, but overall, from just a market standpoint, it wasn't as catastrophic as it could have been. And then we're obviously early in the season. It's only August, so we've got September and October of storms to get through. So we'll see how it goes.
We're Floridians. We're used to this. This is another Tuesday afternoon for us.
I've been here 18 years, and I really feel like, obviously 04, like you mentioned yesterday, Emma, was bad. But, I mean, we've had like 3 or 4 in that 18-year period that were hit us hard, in particular in Central Florida. So it's not anything crazy, but we'll see. Hopefully we get through the year. Well, I appreciate you guys. Like I said, just want to give a quick update. We'll be back next Friday with what's going on in the world. We'll come back with another development deal that we can kind of talk about what's happening. We were pretty light on ours since we're just talking about ourselves, obviously. But there are some really cool projects that are going on that we'll get to share and kind of go through what we like and about those and what we think's happening in any areas of Florida that are growing at a pretty good clip. So appreciate you guys. Have a great week.
See you guys.
This was fun. Next week.
We're Invested Podcast is produced by Atrium Management Company. Thanks for tuning in. And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe.